Welcome to the Chase Challenge Week 26 People. In this video, I want to do two things. Number one, I want to show you something that I do in my own personal Bible study when I'm reading through the Bible in chronological order to help me keep the kingdom of Israel and the kingdom of Judah straight. The second thing that I want to do is I want to show you how the two kingdoms interact and define who is who, as it seems like there are two of just about everybody in this week and next week's reading. So let's start with the Bible study hack. How do we keep the kingdoms of Judah and Israel straight when we're reading through the Bible chronologically and constantly flipping back and forth between the two kingdoms? Well, first of all, I want to recommend the use of a notebook. I just use a regular 5 subject college ruled notebook, and every day before reading, I set up in my notebook where we are in the kingdoms. I always start with the United Kingdom under the rule of Saul. And then I make a line just to help me remember that there are no descendants here, that David is a new line. And then his son Solomon. This is the United Kingdom of Israel. Then the kingdom divides after Solomon's death. Solomon's son Rehoboam begins to rule and reign over the southern kingdom of Judah. Solomon's servant Jeroboam begins to rule and reign over the northern kingdom of Israel. After Jeroboam, who set up the religious system with the 2 calves in the nation of Israel, there are a few kings, about 4 kings that have fairly short reigns. At one point, the kingdom of Israel divides again. Some follow Zimri and some follow Tibni, but eventually they all come together under Zimri's rule. Omri comes along and annihilates all of the dynasty before him, and Omri brings in a very pagan rule and reign. He sets up Samaria as the capital city of the northern kingdom of Israel. Omri builds and sets up Samaria as the capital city of the northern kingdom of Israel. Omri's son Ahab marries Jezebel. She and Ahab together bring in Baal worship and Asherah poles. Ahab himself builds a temple in Samaria for Baal and builds a huge Asherah pole for worship. His wife Jezebel kills every prophet of God that she can get her hands on. Meanwhile, in the kingdom of Judah, the southern kingdom, after Solomon's son Rehoboam, his son Abijah, also called Abijam, rules, and then his son Asa comes in and begins a kind of revival in the southern kingdom of Judah. Asa begins to push back against the idol worship that had infiltrated the kingdom of Judah, which had been introduced by Solomon and his foreign wives. Asa's son, Jehoshaphat, is described as being someone who's very devoted to the Lord. He is very intentional about teaching the people of Judah about God's law and God's instruction and following it. He pushes back against the same things that his father Asa did, and he takes it even a step farther. But during the times of Rehoboam, Abijah, and Asa, and Jeroboam, Nadab, Baasha, Elah, Zimri, and Tibni, Tibni. There is a great deal of conflict between the two kingdoms. The northern kingdom and southern kingdom are at odds with one another until we get to Jehoshaphat. Jehoshaphat begins to make alliances with the kingdom of Israel while he is king of Judah and Ahab is king of Israel. Now, in my notebook, before each day's reading, I like to write down the kingdom of Israel, the kingdom of Judah. I'll put the prophet in the middle, and then I will make a column for a threat, who is threatening Israel, who is threatening Judah. This helps me keep everything straight, helps me to keep the story straight. Who's king when in Israel, when someone is king of Judah, and back and forth. Now, how this can get confusing during this week and next week is that there are so many interactions and alliances between the two kingdoms and so many names that are similar. So now I want to draw a chart to help you understand how the two kingdoms connect and interact and how the names are so similar and who is who and how they're interacting. Let's talk about the kingdom of Israel. Ahab marries Jezebel. One of the most wicked women in all of the Bible. Together, Ahab and Jezebel have at least 2 sons and 1 daughter. Ahaziah, who becomes king, but for a very short period of time. Then their son Joram, who is also called Jehoram at times. And then they have a daughter named Athaliah. While Ahab is king in Israel, Jehoshaphat is king in Judah. Jehoshaphat has a son named Jehoram, very similar to Ahab's son Joram, who is sometimes called Jehoram. So the names are interchangeable. Jehoram co-reigns with Jehoshaphat after Jehoshaphat is almost killed when he goes out to battle with Ahab. They co-reign for a period of time, and eventually Jehoram actually marries Ahab and Jezebel's daughter, Athaliah. Jehoram and Athaliah have a son named Ahaziah, who becomes king of Judah. So you can see there are 2 Ahaziahs. Ahab has a son named Ahaziah, and Jehoram has a son named Ahaziah. Both become kings. One is in Israel for a very short period of time. Another is king in Judah. Ahaziah has a sister named Jehoshaphat, who we'll talk about later. Ahaziah, king of Judah, has a son named Joash. At one point, Ahaziah goes to visit King Joram. While he is visiting Joram, a man named Jehu, not to be confused with the prophet Jehu, comes and kills Joram, and Ahaziah from Judah ends up getting killed as well, with Jehoram being dead and Ahaziah being dead. The queen of Judah, Athaliah, who is the daughter of Ahab and Jezebel, becomes queen of the nation of Judah. She wants to annihilate all possible heirs, but she doesn't know that Jehoshaphat, who had married the priest who served at Solomon's temple, had rescued Joash as a baby and hidden him for 6 years. Speaking of name similarities, God decides during this time to use 2 prophets, one named Elijah, who is assisted by another prophet named Elisha. Oh, one last thing before we finish. Ahaziah, the youngest son of Jehoram and Athaliah, he is also known as Jehoahaz. So keep these things in mind as you're reading week 25 and 26 of the Chase Challenge. I'll see you next week.